Hi, everyone. My name is Rachael Mwikali, convener and co-founder Coalition for Grassroots Human Rights Defenders Kenya and Pussy Power Movement. And today we are here to have a conversation with different amazing, fantastic social justice movement leaders. And this podcast is part of Pussy Power Learning Circles on how to sustain social movements, where we're working in partnership with Karibu Foundation. And I'm happy to have my comrade Ojiro, Karibu Ojiro. And as part of also language justice, we are free. Unaweza tumia Kiswahili, unaweza tumia Sheng, unaweza tumia Kijaka, ni vitu sishikanishi kidogo. So I'd like to give you, introduce Ojiro ni nani, anafanyanga nini?
Thank you, comrade. I say more power to the people, more power.
More power.
African women on the front line, agitate,
organize, educate, liberate, celebrate.
Thank you, comrades. We are here in a new year, the year of hope and courage. My name is Odhiambo Ojiro. I am here with my comrade Rachael. We've been together in the struggle and we are saying Aluta Continua.
Yes.
Thank you.
So Ojiro ni nani?
Ojiro is a human rights defender, born in Siaya, partly raised in Siaya and Mombasa. And Ojiro is a family man, married with children. And Ojiro is also a criminologist by profession. And Ojiro believes in the respect in fundamental rights and freedoms for all human beings, regardless.
Amazing. I love even the whole introduction. So I'd like maybe Ojiro, for the viewers and also for our comrades, who also doing a lot in the movement, to get to hear from you. How did you start your activism journey?
Great. I had gone to visit in Mombasa and I was living with a friend in Bangla in Mombasa, where they are facing a lot of societal challenges. There's a lack of water, education is a challenge, water services is a problem. And so people have been disfranchised in one way or the other. And the only language that they knew was agitating, and resistance. And so when I was there, I started engaging in community organizing when we met some of the community mobilizers that were also attached to human organizations like Muhuri and Ujama Center when they had come to do civic education. So that's how I developed the interest in doing human rights work, in community organizing. And when the interest really, became central in me, I started now identifying some of the issues that were engulfing the community, things that were a nuisance to them, yet they did not have a clear way of speaking out or getting out of them. For example, the issue of Owinauru lead and poisoning. People don't know that we were some of the few guys that led a protest to call out the government, the county government, and the businessman who was behind, to behave with modesty and to balance between human rights and business, or business and human rights. I was arrested, taken to Mombasa Law Court, and because I could not raise the cash bail of 150,000, I was taken to Shimolatewa prison. And that opened up the discussion on the Owinauru lead poisoning. A few days ago, I saw the family and victims have received huge compensation. That's just one of them. I also like the issue of Cambodia, Kilinka poisoning, where a go-down that was owned by railways, corporation, was leased to one of the, transport company. But this transport company didn't regard, the welfare of the people that were living in the same neighborhood. So he got a tender of transporting Kilinka, which is the raw material for making cement. And they were storing it there. And, the way trucks come and pour that raw material, it is very poisonous. And the entire community were now suffering from, sight issues, respiratory issues. And everybody was quiet. But I thank God to one of the young comrade. Now he works with some NGO here in Nairobi. Then he was volunteering with the Star newspaper. He took, his time. we committed ourselves, and we did an expose, and that again led to the stop of the killing camp in that community. And so these are some of the things that really built my resilience, informed me to be in the front line. And after that, a lot of human organizations started showing interest in me because of the courage, because of the passion, and also because of the desire to learn more and to build a network of human rights activists, and to work around having a community that believes that rights are God-given and that rights cannot be given like sweets by the state. So I strongly believe that that was a very good start for me. And it was out of that I landed an opportunity with the Norwegian embassy. I landed a scholarship opportunity and went to the University of Nairobi and started a course in criminology. And that also opened me up to some scholarly knowledge. And immediately I was done with that course, I moved to CIR. And within a short time, we did a lot of work. We exposed our community to this knowledge. We opened up the court users committee to communities leaders. We invaded the area advisory councils. We demanded to have a seat and a stake where decisions were being made on matters of peace, security, and human rights. We asked why there were no women in those spaces. We asked why, the voices of young people were not being heard. And true to our cause, true to our agitation, look at what we did. We exposed the former governor of Sia for stealing 76 million bursaries. And the exposure didn't just come easy. I was targeted with my team. I was beaten by goons. But at the end of the day, people got justice because they brought back the money and paid the bursary. Look at the issues of River Yala, where more than 70 people were picked from different parts of this country, beaten up, tortured, killed, put in bags, thrown in River Yala. And everybody was quiet. But because of the resilience that we had built, because of the network, and because of the belief that we had, the human rights belief that we had created in our community, we again did an expose of the River Yala killings and dumping.
That's amazing, Ojiro. And it's such an inspiring to see you now. You have moved from different counties and different courses and remaining also resilience and also consistency in the struggle. And also I like the fact also you mentioned about Oinauru. What keeps you going with this different struggle where you've been subjected to violence, which we know clearly as activists, when you're fighting for injustice, for justice, when there's an injustice, and then when we say personal is political, what keeps you going, Ojiro?
First of all, on that question, I want to thank comrades like you, Rachael Mwikali, because you have been in the front line. I remember the last people power action, to end femicide in Nairobi, where we were expecting you to come with the press statement, and the police started twice to, abduct you and, dehumanize you. But you are still on the front line. Comrade like Phyllis Ominde, showed an act of bravery because she was working for a company that was taking away the rights of people, that was polluting the environment. And she decided to forgo the salary and stand with the people and demand for accountability. I think, and Phyllis Ominde was not only calling for clean environment, she was facing the owner of the premise, which was an MP. She was facing a business mogul that was known around, the business circle. She put her life on the risk. And so those women must be celebrated. The voices of those women must be amplified. And just to pick up from your point is that if the question is, if we do not stand up, then who will?
And also now, that's why I ask you, what keeps you going? Like, what gives you energy? I know there are levels, even me, Ojiro, will be like, where? Like what you're saying, an example of, and I'm happy, we are wearing also intersecting movement. There's Pussy Power, there's End Femicide Gay movement. when we went to protest during the International Day of Human Rights, against femicide, the rising cases of femicide and the government being quiet, the president also not committing, the kind of violence we experience, the way you're saying, personally, even being harassed sexually by the police, being beaten, being strangled, and seeing that this is a space I was expecting the police to be protective of me and many comrades, sisters, and the public, because it's a public issues. And being faced with this, the same way you're saying, you also have experienced threats at that level. How do you sustain your energy?
I think there's two schools of thought. One is that once you have got a level of consciousness that something right needs to be done, and there is need to bring an end to an injustice, that consciousness alone keeps you on the radar, and that consciousness alone helps you to overcome fear. So what keeps us going is the ideological clarity that makes us understand that right to water is a political question, and right to education is a political question. And without those fundamental rights, then your life becomes meaningless. That the consciousness that the government cannot purport to say that they are okay to give you education, but they do not care about your right to life. For example, the government is okay when you talk about somehow education, but when you talk about why are you killing our young people, there's a problem. So how will you go to school when you are dead? So those kind of consciousness is what now helps us to stand up and help the masses understand the relationship between these rights and the interdependence of these rights and why people must continue talking. The other thing is that I am a parent and I am a son of the soil. And this country that we are enjoying somehow, certain people fought for them. The kind of liberties we're talking about, the kind of, even getting this kind of space then was not there. So there are people that put their life on the line. They risked, they suffered for us to enjoy the benefits that we are enjoying now. So it is your duty and my duty to continue with the fight so that our children, our grandchildren might get a better country, a better Kenya, a better world. And so we are simply continuing with the struggle, and you are simply thinking into the future. For example, I want to give you a very live and also painful experience that we were in the streets last week and even this week. And we had got one clarion call that end abductions in Kenya. We risked our life. We chained ourselves. The policemen came in tear gas. They came with the horses to run on us. But we were saying that if we don't do it, what happens? Now, the acts of bravery that we displayed, now, the 6 comrades that we are talking about that were abducted, 5 have been released. And we are saying that if we continue to do this, and if we do it more, then all those 11 individuals that were abducted in December will be released. And so what guides us is the belief in the Constitution. As long as you believe that whatever you are doing is within the frameworks of the law, and you know that all human beings are born free and equal, and they are endowed with reason and conscience. So if your conscience tells you, as Rachael Mwikali, that I have to stand up so that all women can be protected, that I have to stand up so that we end femicide, as long as you are guided by that conscience and that clarity, then you don't have to fear of the consequences, because at the end of the day, the gains are huge and the success will be celebrated worldwide.
And then I think also it's important to acknowledge the way you're saying, the continuous organizing of also Kenyans not giving up, of also Kenyans, we ourselves supporting each other, using online spaces as a digital way of organizing and activism. It has also helped amplify the causes. However, if you look on the other side, I wanted to ask you, Ojiro, I know you've been part of different movements and organizing, from the cases around Shakahola from also like the climate justice that we went during the climate justice when the government was trying to put its own summit, and then as we said, as African people being led through the leadership of Rachael and the rest from Friends of Lake Turkana, that we African citizens also have a stake in the discussion. And then also I've seen you so on the end femicide, very consistent. I've seen you also going to postmortem. I've seen you also in the quarry. The one also, we had a lot of our sisters were murdered and dropped there. So I wanted to hear from your thoughts, Ojiro. What can NGOs, for example, learn from social movement organizing or grassroots organizing?
I think it is very important to make it clear, as one of my friends was saying, that there is a problem in terms of how the NGOs, first of all, the way they have been instituted, and also the way in which they are operating, because they come with their own restrictions. They operate under certain restrictions. Having said that, it is important for the NGOs to appreciate the role of grassroots organizing and grassroots networks, because information is with the grassroots. Violence is meted at the grassroots. Experiences are at the grassroots. And so it is very important. For example, you talk about, I want to give you very good examples. We have got the Missing Voices report that puts together, in the status of human rights with regards to right to life, especially on the role of police and policing. The entire report is about violations that have been meted on the community by states, especially security agencies. Without those families, without the grassroots organizations, without the human rights defenders on the ground, there can be no information that could help in building that kind of a report. Look at, for example, Quarry. It was a grassroots organization,
Mukuru, and also
Social Justice Center. And the cadres in that community that led to an expose that indeed the state is killing our women and dumping at Quarry.
And until today, we have not seen the justice and accountability. There's a lot of impunity.
Exactly.
Where we're told now the person was arrested, the perpetrator, and then they came and told us he disappeared.
State-sponsored suspect. Yes. And just to add on that, can you imagine that a suspect could disappear at Gigiri police station, yet suspects are unable to disappear at Kibera police station? Could you imagine?
And Gigiri is like for the viewers, Gigiri is the most high-end, where there's a lot of diplomatic missions.
Could you imagine that if any ambassador, if any ambassador or a diplomat was in conflict with the law, he will be remanded there. That it is that police station that a suspect disappeared, and up to date, his treasures cannot be unearthed.
So it means it's a betrayal of the rule, and that's also what I wanted to ask you. There's the rule of the law, and we are seeing, we are advocating for the rule of the law, where else the government is not following the rule of the law. You have seen it also with the Reject Finance Bill protest, which also, you are very vocal. There are a lot of comrades and innocent Kenyans, youth, women that were murdered, and we are yet to see the accountability. So even from your own case and also the kind of police brutality you experienced, even last week, how do we hold police accountable? Because I have experienced it also. You have experienced it. A lot of comrades have experienced it. But we expected also to get justice. But the same police that we're supposed to get justice from are the ones who are abusing us. How do we navigate around that?
I think one is to appreciate the role of all patriotic citizens in this country, because our joint efforts have given some hope, and we've made some strides towards the justice lane. Why am I saying this? The role of the religious leaders on the question of Rivayala, on the question of Shakahola, on the question of end femicide, on the question of quarry dumping, and even on the question of abduction, it's been very clear and loud. And we believe that voice of the religious leaders have led to some great strides. The role of women in, collective voices of women Oh my God. Women have been organizing at the front line, and women have been showing that as the mother of the nation, we cannot keep quiet when our own are being, taken away. And the role of women has given us success stories, and there are too many. The role of young people, oh my God. Look at the Gen Z actions, the Gen Z revolution. The Gen Z revolt came with a bang. It came with a bang, and it came with a new consciousness that we are tribeless.
Yes, we are fearless.
We are fearless. And that
we are partyless.
And we have got our own arsenal. And do you know what the arsenal were? Clarity. The Kenyan flag, the constitution, the fonts, oh my God. It got the government footed, and they sent the message, and they occupied. And for the first time in President William Ruto's life, he considered defeat. Ruto, since he was born, he has never considered defeat. Gen Z made him concede defeat. Gen Z made President William Ruto to reduce the level of attack and abuse on citizens.
We have seen it increasing, like the abduction even during, when Ruto came to power. I remember one of his campaign strategy. He had said that if he gets elected, he'll ensure there is no enforced disappearance and there's no extrajudicial killings. But if you look his term, the cases on extrajudicial killing, femicide, enforced disappearance is increasing. How do we believe him?
Okay, I didn't say that we are believing Ruto.
But I'm just saying, how do we...
What I said...
Like, he can say he concede defeats, but on the other side, we are seeing him taking advantage, misusing his power and leadership to even shrink the civic space.
I agree, Rachel, with you. But allow me also to say this. Look at Ruto when he was 6 months in office, 1 year in office, and after the Gen Z action. He was a beaten and tired man. What you call kiburi leenda. President William Ruto used to travel every day. Every week he was all over the world. Gen Z locked him down in the State House.
Also, like, that's a success.
Yes!
That the collective work of Gen Z, but also not forgetting all of us also were part of the protest. Generation millennials. Because for me, what I usually see in terms of intersection organizing, yes, the leadership was more Gen Z, but each generation played its role.
Exactly. So we say that, the actions that were being led by Gen Z, but incorporated all other generations. You know what he did? It exposed the lies of President William Ruto. It pushed for greater accountability and open governance. We knew who was sponsoring, the finance bill. For the first time through that revolt, we had got the personal contacts and the emails of all these criminals exposed globally. It has never happened before. We saw MPs apologizing to Kenyans. It was out of this action. And the role of media,
because media was attacked.
The role of online tools. Oh my God. You steal our money, we trail it. You lie to us today, and tomorrow say something different, we expose you. And so, what I can say is that we are on the right trajectory.
But Ojiro,
the challenges are painful.
Can you mention some of the challenges for people who are not activists, or they have not been in the space like all of us, to understand the kind of pain in organizing, to understand the kind of sacrifice in organizing, at the same time remaining hopeful and organizing and not giving up? Maybe can you mention some of the challenges also you have experienced?
People that have been in the front line agitating for rights have always galvanized and worked closely with the opposition. Now we have no opposition in this country.
The people, we are the opposition.
We are now the opposition. There's no political party that is playing the watchdog role. Now it is the people that are now the watchdog.
But is that a success, or is it
a challenge?
I see as a success.
It is a challenge in the context that the opposition political parties need to join with the masses to demand accountability.
But do you think also that one can co-opt and hijack the movement? Because we saw, Ojiro, Because my different thought as also a movement person, it's okay because if you mix politician within the struggle, they can co-opt the struggle. We saw Raila was not part of the Gen Z organizing and some politician, but whatever was being done during the Reject Finance Bill, they came and hijacked the movement. And some politicians also can use that to come and co-opt the movement. We have seen also with different individuals and character. But if you see when a movement is movement-led, when it's organic, the way we have seen the success, it does not give politicians right to come and organize you.
I agree with you.
In fact, wanakuja wanapangwa.
I agree with you that the lack of opposition has also created something very interesting.
An opportunity for organizing.
Do you know what has created also, Rachel? That we have realized that there's no difference between Raila Odinga and William Ruto. That they belong to the same class and that we are on our own. Because they used to divide us along, government, so as in government, I'm with the people. For now, we know that there is no difference between Kalonzo Musyoka and Mudavadi. And there's no difference between Rigathi Gachagua and Raila Odinga. They are all in
elite political class.
Yes,
yeah.
You get it. So that tells us something. That we, the people, have now to unite and walk and talk with one voice and decide among us who will lead us and collectively throw the entire baggage of the political elite into a dustbin.
So where do you see the hope of 2027 election?
Oh my God.
An opportunity, where do you see
Oh my God. We will get fresh leaders with the new ideologies, with the new ideas, leaders that have got the people at heart. And my hope and belief is that as we continue to engage in civic education, we need to move to a higher level of political education and ask, what is the value of my vote? For now, we are overcoming a very important hurdle. The politicians, led by President William Ruto, have been telling us that, I'm God-given, I was elected for 5 years. We are saying, no, you're not God-given. You lied to us and you took our votes. We can take it back. And also saying that we cannot wait for 5 years. 5 years is a mere legal ritual. We can do something else. We can push out of that office. This kind of consciousness was not there with our fathers, with our grandfathers. It's now coming out. The realities are now coming out. The other thing that we are also celebrating as young people is the kind of resilience. You saw what's happening in Embu, what was happening in Mombasa, what was happening in Nairobi. Oh my God.
Even my own county, Machakos.
The kind of resilience that's coming with the young people. Look at what the communities in Nairobi did. Training themselves. And you know what they were saying? That we don't mind about what we are going through. We care about what we are about to achieve. And it's a level that if all Kenyans can reach, that we are saying, we are doing this, regardless of the consequences, regardless of the challenges, but we are sure of the end game. And I call upon Kenyans.
And I know, Ojiro, I know also we are trying to push also to see and build that public collective support for activists and looking in terms of also wellness, because I know we have gone through a lot. How would you say this work that we all do, that is important work, revolutionary work, affect our wellness?
Rachel, Comrade Rachel, even before I respond to that, you've mentioned something, public collective, wellness and organizing. Rachel, do you forget that in December you organized for the Pussy Power concert? Do you know what it meant to those thousands and millions of people that attended the Pussy Power concert in Mathare? That people came together, shared experiences, laughed together, cried together, ate together, and collectively looked into the future. You know what you are doing? You are helping them come out of depression. You are helping them come out of trauma. You are inspiring them and giving them hope. When you create space for young Kenyans, for young girls and boys to come out and explore their talents, you know what they're telling us? And you are bringing on board seasoned artists that have come from the grassroots and have made a name in this world. You know what we're telling those young kids? That there's hope, that with discipline, that with commitment, that with hard work, that you can be what you want in future. You don't know, Rachel. You are just doing it, but you don't know how some of those guys, those young people, have now come up with NDA resolutions. You help them see the future with clarity. Some of them are from single parents. They can't afford a meal a day. They don't have bedding to sleep on. They're not sure of their school fees. But when you created that space, and whatever you did was a culmination of great work that you have done silently on the ground. And you know what we're telling those young kids? That you can be like Rachel.
And even better.
And better. That you can be the next ambassador. That you can be the MP. That you can be that engineer. That you can be that respected community leader. Oh, Rachel. Look at the kind of work that went into that. You brought in comrades across the world, inspiring people, telling their experiences, reminding us of the kind of struggles that they have engaged in and the success stories that have accompanied. You know what that meant to the young people? The young human rights defenders, that together, when we unite with military discipline and with hope, we can achieve.
And that's why if you see like and you remind me, even when we're coming with the theme of the festival, like Tunawin Vita Zote.
Oh my God.
Because we're looking at all these struggles. They are very intersectional. Finance bill, Shakaola, religious fundamentals, rising of anti-gender, anti-choice.
It is possible.
Yeah, like, and we're like, it's possible to win all this fight and bringing every comrade from across and also thanking
Waliuana Rex. Wakadhani wameshinda, kumbe badala yake mapambano
yaenda mbele,
mapambano yaendelea, mapambano yaendelea. Oh, imagine.
And even the innovation, even now the way we are using and also co-opting religious songs to be more revolutionary songs.
Imagine. So Rachel, that concert, that engagement inspired hope in the life of women and men who were struggling to put food on the table. That concert, the statements that came out of it, the inspirational talks, the hope that was being shown was telling young men that, look, you cannot deal with joblessness by engaging in drug addiction. I remember very well that part where young people were being told, guys, drug addiction can't take you anywhere.
But at the same time, also, like, how do we help people who are into drugs without criminalizing them?
Exactly.
To see life from a different perspective and get supported.
As a criminologist and somebody that has been on the grassroots, one, we must make the state understand that they are the sponsor of this kind of situation.
But poverty has been criminalized by our states.
They have refused to take these young people to school through the formal education. They have refused to give them skills for living and skills for life. And also, they have criminalized poverty. And lastly, what they have done is they have refused to follow the law with the people whom they suspect on any criminality. And what we have done is to make it clear that there's sanctity of life and there's a rule of law. And we understand so well and too well our criminal justice process and procedure. And so that has helped that if there's any young man who has been accused or suspected of any crime, he must be subjected to the judicial process, which must be human and which must believe in the principle and the belief of innocence until proven guilty, and which must also respect the fundamental rights of an arrested person, including the right to a fair trial. I think that's very important.
But also I wanted to ask you, Ojiro, sorry I'm cutting you short. As movement, as activists, as the public and right holders of this country, there's the rule of the law which we need to follow. But also there's this police force who don't follow the rule of the law. How do we deal with them? Like you've seen what has happened in different protests that all of us have been
How do you deal
involved.
with them?
They're not
They're not
masked.
accountable.
They're not accountable.
They're
There's a level of
misbehaving.
impunity.
Yes.
They're not following the rule of the law. How do you deal with a police force that is not following the rule of the law? How do you deal with a whole president who's not following the rule of the law? How do you deal with a whole government that is not following the rule of the law? And us, we expected to follow the rule of the law.
Good. Rachel, even before we deal with the police service and the government that not follow the rule of law. Rachel, have you forgotten how many young women you've pulled out of the streets? How many young boys you've pulled out of the criminal networks? Look at the kind of work that Comrade Dife is doing in Madare, working with you people. It is just too much. We are shrinking the pool of criminality. What government has failed to do, we are reducing vulnerability of our young people. We are finding scholarships for them. We are taking them to technical colleges, and we are demanding that the money allocated for that work be used prudently. And that's one way of helping our people at risk. And you're also telling our parents that, come on, reach out to your children, reach out to the community members, create spaces of dialogue. It is important to create safety among ourselves. On the question of police brutality.
Yes.
This is something that Kenyans and the world must unite against. We have done our part by making sure that we pay taxes to facilitate government operations. That now the OCS have got a pool of money to support these operations. That every police station now have got gender desk.
But are they operations?
So Kenyans have paid the price of paying taxes. It means that we are coming with good intention. It means that we are here to build our country. But then the next question is, we are paying taxes. Are our taxes being used appropriately? That there's a law and a policy guide that has created the gender desk. Do we have gender desk officers? And are they operating within the confines of the law? And are they sensitive to victims and survivors? Those are fundamental questions.
Now that's why I'm asking Ojiro the question of, we know clearly these are the fundamental questions. They need to be doing this and this, as we have done our responsibility as citizens. But the government is failing. I've given you a good example where we are seeing during the protest, Rex Masai was shot by the police. We have seen during the protest, police in plain clothes violating people. You've also been subjected to that violence. I have been subjected to that violence. We are expected to go to report to the same police who have also abused us. How does that work?
There's only one way forward. That the public must unite and stand up with one voice.
Should you do like also a public arrest to police?
Of course, it is within the confines of the law. It is within the confines of the law to do citizen arrest and to call out people who are slumbering on their job. For example, what is the role of the legislators? Why are they quiet when the police are abducting Kenyans, are violating Kenyans, are taking corruption? Why are they quiet?
And you like seeing legislators, you have seen also some of the legislators which
the reckless one.
Reckless one, not even reckless, they're oppressors, abusers of the right and the rule of the law, coming public and normalizing abduction, normalizing femicide.
We must call them out.
We must call them out.
I called them out yesterday when I was being interviewed with the royal media. I called them out and I told them that,
in fact, they need to be impeached. But
course,
looking also in terms of the impeachment, they've refused to have the ABC being constituted.
It doesn't matter. The people can impeach them directly. The people of Kenya can impeach these confused, criminals in the name of legislators directly. The other thing is that as human rights defenders, as activists, as Kenyans, we must enhance documentation and reporting so that if there is any violation by any police officer, it is well documented, because I can assure you that in the interest of time, the justice who will shall rule. In the interest of time. The other thing is that we must put pressure where it belongs. We must take pressure to the doorsteps of President William Ruto and remind him of his fake promises. We must do that. The other thing is that we must also invite our friends and partners, wherever they are, to join us in the war on accountability. It is very important. It is very important. Why am I saying this? Let me ask you a question, Rachel. This question, we asked it 2 days ago, and we think it bore fruit. We asked that if it was President William Ruto's son that was abducted, or Badi's son, or Opio Wandai's son, because or this other confused Junet's son, will they speak else like that? Exactly.
They'll not.
Exactly.
And that's why also for me as a movement person, I believe also the naming and shaming also should go also to their family.
Very important.
To their village. Like make them also feel uncomfortable that they cannot exist, because they forget it's 5 years, they might be elected or not re-elected, of which I'm telling Kenyans, don't elect this kind of leaders. We don't need them. We don't need them.
We are walking.
We don't need them. And they must be reminded even when it comes to election. Or now they supported genocide.
This is what you did. This is what you are part of. This is what you engineered. You are not fit for it.
And even their children, they should know like their parents are not good parents, or they are not leaders who are supporting this country. They're the ones also causing genocide.
That ideology, we pick it from Thomas Sankara. He talks about that for certain things to be done with clarity in future, we need to engage certain elements of madness. We must call them out. We must tell the parents, the wives, the children of these rogue politicians, look at what husband is doing.
Yes.
Are you happy with it? Are you okay with it? And that alone will put them into a situation of regret and a situation to reflect if they are really on the right trajectory or not. I agree with you.
So, Ojiro, for the interest of time, and that's why you sip the water. If today you are the president of this country, or you elected the president, or you have resources as a funder to fund revolutionary work, which would be your priority in terms of resourcing and changing?
My first priority will be to fund people, individuals, grassroots organizations doing work at the community. Work that will help in the emancipation of women and children. Work that will help in protecting fundamental rights and freedoms of Kenyans. I will go for grassroots networks, the Pussy Power, the social justice centers. I will invest in individuals that have shown through resilience, commitment, and over time that indeed they believe in what they're talking about. That's
and
what
if you are the president to the current situation,
if I'm the president,
what will you do?
I will implement the constitution. That's what I will do. I will be compassionate with my people.
But when Ruto came, he said he's from the church.
No,
supported him.
Ruto was not from the church. Ruto simply lied to us, but Kenyans agreed to be lied to. But it is good that time is exposing William Ruto. And it is good that the Lord is doing his work. The law that President William Ruto talked about is now doing his work by exposing Ruto's lies and by exposing Ruto's behaviors and by building the consciousness of the masses to stand up, because we are wearing the armor of God. We are wearing the armor of justice. And together, it's just like somebody will ask you that if you put Ruto on this side and if you put the people on this side, who is greater than the other? It's the people. It's the people. And so, as Gen Z put it, tutaanguka nayo.
Anguka nayo.
Anguka
Na
nayo.
tunawin vita zote.
Tunawin vita zote.
As we close,
Yes.
How do we sustain our momentum? How do we sustain our energy until 2027?
Oh my God, how do we sustain our momentum? Rachel, continue this kind of work you're doing here. Continue in, shrinking the pool for recruitment into criminal networks. Continue reaching out to young people at risk, young people in drug networks, in the streets. Reach out to them and let's pull them out. Let's win them to our side. As we continue, the young people, let's continue using our phones, our creativity that is God-given, to document violations and to speak directly to the people that are in charge. And also, those that are organizing in the streets, Kamau, Comrade Kamau, Julius Kamau, Comrade Okia, Comrade Anifa, everyone, the senior comrades, the struggle. Let us continue in the streets. And those that are writing articles and speak directly to the ambassadors, to the international community, let's continue doing anything that you can do to take Kenyans to the next level and to expose criminals. Oh my God. And those in the media industry, the journalists, continue. Aluta continua. Continue. Because your efforts, my efforts, his efforts, if well coordinated, will deliver us to the promised land, the land of hope and justice.
So apart from activism, Ojiro, as we close, because our work is very serious, what do you do for fun, Ojiro?
Good. I love music.
Can you sing for us?
Yeah, I love music. And also, I love being with my family because we have a family at not a very good time. That my wife faces her own challenges. I face my own personal challenges. Our children face our own challenges. Our community are unique in their own way. And so when I seize any little opportunity, then I take it with my family. I take it with my people. But also more importantly, we are dealing with people in authority. And most of them have gone to school. So what I'm also doing is to search for scholarly knowledge and understanding. And I take much time and most time to read and to learn and to unlearn so that we can face the future with clarity.
And information. So because you said you're a good singer and most of us are talented in the activism space, and I know you sing very good, even when you're in the street, we are chanting.
Oh my God.
Tuimbie pamoja.
Nasikitika sana moyoni mwangu,
Ni nani aliyeumba Zakayo?
Nasikitika sana moyoni mwangu, ni nani aliyeumba Ruto? Si wewe Mwenyezi Mungu, si wewe Mwenyezi Mungu, muumba haki na ukombozi. Si wewe Mwenyezi Mungu, si wewe Mwenyezi Mungu, muumba haki na ukombozi. Viva comrades, viva.
Viva.
More power to our women, more power.
More power.
Long live the struggle, long live.
Long live.
Thank you.
Any message?
Any message to all Kenyans. The time to overcome fear is now. Remember, every soul shall taste death. So usiogope. Tusimame pamoja, tushinde vita zote.
Apple. So thank you, Comrade Ojiro, for being part of our social movement conversations and being a leader, being a hero, a shuja, and being, how will I say, an inspiring comrade. Thank you so much. We see you, we value and we celebrate you.
And do you know how we call you? We call you Mother Hen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.